Mhm. Mhm.
All right, we're live. I can see us on YouTube. We're live.
Great, so maybe we post.
Well, everyone. Wonderful day. So, welcome to our Hudson 7 hybrid meeting today. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Gary Bassett, Mayor, Village of Rhinebeck, and also Chair of the Hudson 7. Our meetings are all live stream that you're seeing here on our Hudson 7 YouTube channel. The public is advised to subscribe to this channel whenever possible. Our meetings occur here at the wonderful Poughkeepsie Water Treatment Plant at 70 Waterworks Road, Poughkeepsie, New York. Commenting is allowed, both in person and remotely, but please visit our website to review the procedure for the comment. In attendance tonight, I'm going to go around the room to start. Again, my name is Gary Bassett.
Yeah, hi, I'm Anna Boutsikaris. I work for the DEC's Hudson River Estuary Program.
Don't hold it against her.
And I am the source water specialist, so I specifically work on helping to implement DWSP2 plans, the Drinking Water Source Protection Program plans. And I'm going to be, if it's all right with you all, helping to implement the Hudson 7's DWSP2 plan.
Love it.
Yeah.
That's great. Devin Rigolino, representative from Dutchess County and vice chair.
Richard Distil, City of Poughkeepsie.
Liz Mosqueda, Town of Hyde Park.
Hello, Town of Sopus. Nick Butler here, Water Superintendent.
Jonathan Churns, Dutchess County Water and Wastewater Authority Executive Director.
Eric Weinstock, Technical Advisor.
Ann Schurshin, Town of Poughkeepsie.
Dr. Nobly, water treatment facility. So that, sorry, plant administrator here at the water plant. Take a look.
Up at the extreme left of our screen is Rebecca.
Rebecca Martin, Source Water Protection Coordinator, Consultant.
Andy.
Andy Bicking, Ulster County Department of the Environment. Good morning. Good evening.
Evening. Paul.
Paul Malmrose, Engineer Technical Advisor.
And I see a Jacqueline there. Jacqueline.
Jackie is
By Zoom.
Jacqueline is going to give public comment at the time. She's here from the public.
Very good.
Thank you.
John.
John Lipscomb, retired from Riverkeeper, advisor to Hudson 7 on boat and water issues.
Ryan.
River issues.
Ryan.
Ryan Sharp.
Mute.
Yeah, he must be away. Ryan Sharp from the town of Poughkeepsie.
Drew.
Hi, everyone. This is Drew Gamble, Senior Attorney at Riverkeeper.
And I believe that's Dan on the phone, correct?
That's Dan Shapley, Technical Advisor General.
So we have a quorum. I'm going to make a motion to call the meeting to order. Second.
Second.
Thank you. Thank you, Ann. All right, approval of minutes. I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of March 11th.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Good. Treasurer's report. Treasurer's report, and just a reminder, our bank account for the Hudson Valley Drinking Water Intermunicipal Council is at M&T Bank. This is for the statement beginning in March 1st and ending March 31st. Our ending balance is $23,266.49. Our beginning balance, $26,989.98. We had a disbursement of $6,250 for our protection coordinator and a deposit of $2,500 from the municipality, giving us to the total of $50,266.49. Motion to approve the treasury report, please.
Second.
Thank you, Ann. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Rebecca.
Yep. Just an awareness here. Mike Foraging just entered the room. Hi, Mike. Glad you could be here.
And
Stu Ice, Town Lloyd Supervisor, yes, well, good.
Well, we're all represented, every municipality and county. Great. Okay, so I submitted my consulting report for March. Last month when I was hired for the year of 2026, I was asked to put together our goals and tasks, our new document like we do every year. So I have done that, and we'll talk about that in a bit. The consulting report in front of you is the format is the last month for this format. Once the new goals and tasks are approved, that will then become the new format for my consulting report to show the work towards the council goals for 2026. So what you have in front of you is the work that we've done, that I did during the month of March for the current goals that are on the table that are about to transition.
any questions on the water protection form? Very good. Thank you.
Okay.
Communications.
Okay, this month the EPA proposed regulating microplastics in drinking water, and there's a link here to actually it's Beyond Plastics press release in the case anyone is interested. The New York State DEC announces nearly $1 million in grant awards for 14 water quality and environmental education projects in Hudson River communities. And Dutchess County was awarded one of those grants for $75,000 for intermunicipal source water protection in the Mid-Hudson, Mid-Hudson River Valley to provide 2 years of operational support to the 7 Hudson Valley communities that draw drinking water from the Hudson River. The Hudson Seven Council's drinking water source protection program includes actions such as stakeholder outreach, securing future grants, and organizing meetings, public events, and training workshops. So thanks to Dutchess County, congratulations to the Hudson Seven.
Kevin, anything you want to comment on?
I guess I would say that, so the Dutchess, I think I mentioned at the last meeting, Dutchess County is on a sort of different funding cycle because of the way that we executed our original MOA. We funded ourselves halfway through this year. And so using this grant, not only are we going to be able to continue funding for several more years, but also we had a lot of feedback from this group that we, as we look through some of the actions in the DWSP2, several are going to require a bit of funding. And right now our budget as a council is strictly just for our coordinator. So this grant is going to give $20,000 over a course of 2 years that we can use to implement other actions and, to host events and, maybe do trainings for our coordinator or our technical advisors. And so we're hopefully going to be able to really ramp up our efforts because of this money.
Thank you. I think Dan helped you.
Dan was extremely helpful. Yes.
Acknowledge Dan Chapman for
Thank you. Yeah.
his help on putting that grant in. Sorry, Rebecca, please go on.
So the Ulster County Water Quality Committee is partners meeting on Monday, April 13th at 1:30 p.m. We were able to complete an advancing salt front is impacting our drinking water supply to complement the work that Paul Melrose is doing. Paul did a great job on that blog that went up last week after a couple of months of work to get that together. You all received it, but there's a link to it here. And then Riverkeeper has submitted an action to tell Governor Hochul that affordable housing and protecting the environment go together. This is related to Governor Hochul's proposed State Environmental Quality Review Act, the seeker regulations, making big changes to the seeker regulations through the state budget. And I asked Drew to come in today just to talk a little bit about it with the municipalities and counties. Drew, thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. So, kind of buried in the governor's budget are her reforms for the State Environmental Quality Review Act. And the focus is on streamlining housing developments. And while that's a really good goal, we are very concerned about the language she uses in that proposal and don't believe that it's going to actually achieve that goal and that it actually creates several loopholes that might be taken advantage of by developers. It's not just about housing. She is focused on mixed use projects. So it's housing and kind of any other non residential use. And there's also several other exemptions about daycare facilities and public trails um, and water treatment works, which are good. But again, the language she uses lack critical safeguards. And we're specifically focused on her definition of previously disturbed site, which is extremely broad and actually defines agricultural land and maintained lawns as disturbed. There's also no limit. So once a site is considered to have some sort of disturbance, the whole entire lot would be considered disturbed. So that would allow a developer to cut down, trees that might be on the parcel or get rid of any grasslands. So again, there's just big, broad, sweeping definitions of what's disturbed, and we'd really like to see that language tightened so that we're truly identifying a disturbed site and limiting development to the disturbed portion of any lot or parcel. There's also concerns, again, as I mentioned, kind of about her lack of a definition of mixed use. She uses the phrase non-residential use without providing any clarifications on what that means, without limiting it to commercial or community facilities. There's also a requirement that there is a water and sewer hookups for any exempt project, which is great. We're concerned that there is no requirement to ensure capacity of those water or sewer facilities. And we'd like to see some language added to guarantee, that is looked at. There's also no requirement or no limitation to restrict the size of the development, meaning there's nothing to restrict the amount of acreage that could be exempt. So if a project meets all the other requirements, it could disturb 10 acres and be exempt under the governor's proposal. So just to require some sort of limitation to that, whether it's 5 acres or whether there's a certain amount of units per acre. And then finally, there's no scaling. So the governor classifies exemptions for New York City and then everywhere else. And so cities like Albany and Buffalo and Rochester are going to be in the same category as some of our smaller cities, our city of Beacon, our village of Croton. They're all going to be on the same footing under the governor's proposal. And we'd like to see a tiered approach to exemptions to make sure that we're addressing community needs and community infrastructure abilities. So I think it's just really important that we take a moment to slow down and really read the proposals and look at what the words mean and what they could lead to. Because the idea is great, the goal is a great goal, but we need to have the right language so that we're putting the right housing in the right locations.
Thank you, Drew.
You done, Rebecca?
The communications are done. Now we'll go into upcoming meetings and events. Okay.
There you go.
So the area committee members at large meeting is occurring on April the 16th, which John will talk a little bit about later in old business. And I just have kept this, that Riverkeeper's third annual collaborative workshop is upcoming on May the 1st, which you're aware of. And that is it for events. And next would be public comment and Jackie Dressler.
I'll go from town of Solis to the phone just at the table.
Hello, sorry I'm late, but had a week.
Thanks for coming.
Okay, public comment.
Yep, Jacqueline Dressler.
Hello, good afternoon, and thank you to the council and Rebecca for this opportunity to speak. I'm Jacqueline Drexler from a nearby county, Rockland County, in the town of Clarkstown. I'd like to talk about a couple of different issues. As you are all aware by now, Congressman Lawler, Chris Wright, who is wrong from the Department of Energy, and Chris Singh, the CEO of Holtec International, recently made an announcement in a bid to rebuild and reopen Indian Point nuclear power plant. Although Governor Hochul is opposed to the reopening, and she is supporting construction of 5 nuclear power plants in Western New York. However, regarding Indian Point, things can change. Governor Hochul herself could give in to a pressure campaign from Wright and President Trump. We all have to be very vigilant about this. Number 2, we've all known that for years there's been a salt front push in the Hudson River, which is already being measured and tasted by the people. If Indian Point were to be reopened, it would be a disaster because tritiated radioactive water, which could and probably would reach north, would be a very big danger to people because tritiated water cannot be removed from water. Several years ago, 444,000 people signed a petition to the governor to stop Holtec from dumping this tritiated water. You know, we may have another fight on our hands, and certainly the communities where there are going to be nuclear power plants will have that fight on their hands. There are also PCBs which have not been remediated by GE in the river and which most likely have been disturbed by the installation of the chippy cables. Prior to the installation of those cables, there really was not sufficient testing by TDI. I recently heard that a staffer at the governor's office is pressuring Ulster and Dutchess counties, as well as the town of Esopus, which is the longest stretch of cables for chippy, to renegotiate the ID money and tax breaks for chippy. Both Ulster County and Dutchess County said no to using IDA money for Chippy for various reasons. The owner company of Chippy is the financial company Blackstone, which was worth $640 billion at the time of those deals. Blackstone is now worth $1.2 trillion and does not need IDA money in pilots. They didn't need tax breaks then, and they certainly don't need tax breaks now. And just my own feeling, as far as I'm concerned, TDI and Blackstone lied on all of their IDA applications when they stated that they couldn't complete this project without IDA money. So 2 years ago, Governor Hochul was quoted in the press, and I paraphrase, saying, "We need to stop relying on foreign energy sources," end quote. Chippy is actually the ultimate definition of a foreign energy source coming from Canada. Please do not give in to pressure campaigns. In closing, I would like to say, let's always focus on the health of the beautiful Hudson River, which needs our oversight against pollution for its own ecosystems and for the health of all life, which abides within the Hudson River, and for the people of the 7 towns who need the river to supply water for their daily needs, as well as for recreation for everyone. So thank you very much for this opportunity to speak.
Thank you, Jack. Any questions for Jack? Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and have a great evening. Thank you.
Jacqueline.
Okay, we'll move on. We have no presentations. We're going to get right into business. First on the agenda is the source water protection coordinator consultant resolution that we brought forward. Devin, you're on the schedule to talk about that again. Are you prepared?
No, I mean, so last meeting, Gary and I pitched the idea that we wanted to table the original motion, which was the idea of doing an RFP to refill that position. We got a unanimous vote to move forward with, rehiring Rebecca for the term of the year. We've worked on creating a work program, goals and tasks for the source water protection coordinator to, address over the next 3 years. Now, we are taking the contract currently at 1 year at a time. So regardless of who's in that individual, this would be the work program, the goals and tasks that individual would complete. And so it was a part of your meeting materials tonight. Hopefully everyone had a chance to open it and review it. I think all of the goals you'll find are things that we've been discussing in length over the course of many months. And I would like to make a motion to approve the goals and tasks for the coordinator for the next 3 years as presented. Do I have a second before we can discuss?
I'll second that, Devin.
Thank you, Andy.
Roscoe got you.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you both. Any discussion?
We went into this in detail pretty much.
Yeah.
And covered it. And worked out the details. So thank you for you and Dan again for putting that effort forward.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay.
John, you're up.
So I'm not looking at the agenda.
John, it's the area contingency plan, spill risks and vessel safety update.
Okay, so April 16th is the area committee meeting, first of this year down in Staten Island, and we'll be there. It's the beginning of the the first meetings of these subcommittees that are to inform the area contingency plan. One is a training and exercise subcommittee, and one is a response and recovery subcommittee. We'll see how that goes. I mean, it's all an opportunity to try to improve spill prevention and spill response. It's going to be the beginning of a very long conversation, but a valuable one. We have received permission from the Coast Guard to invite the CSX railroad people. So that's in the works right now, and that'll come up in another part of the discussion today. But as of now, that's it. April 16th area committee meeting.
Well, John, let's jump ahead since that's on the schedule. Several of us attended a meeting with CSX. Do you want to do a summary for that, or since they're linked together?
Sure. So we had asked a gentleman named Maurice O'Connell to meet with us last year, and this year we succeeded. It was I believe all agree that it was a productive first call. He's high level. He's not the guy who runs out with boots on when there's a spill. Rebecca and I are building a follow-up letter to him, which he requested, with specific questions like, can you introduce us to the individuals who would lead a response in the Hudson River or Mohawk corridors, so that we can get greater detail from them on things like who are their contractors, where are their response assets pre-staged. Very interested in knowing what drills they have conducted over the last 15 years. And the goal is to make a relationship and then request additional drills. Things like that. So again, it's a new relationship for us, and we'll get what we can out of it. But the first meeting was very constructive.
Just like to comment, we also drilled down some on inspections, right, John?
Right.
And the railroad bridges are inspected at twice the frequency of pedestrian bridges. So it was quite encouraging to know that they are taking a very proactive approach on all bridges, and not just the ones here, but on all bridges, and adequately doing inspections on them. Because that was one of our big primary concerns. Several years ago, we had a bridge that we thought was, subject to issues, and that was, they assured us that they had shored it up. Didn't look shored up, but they assured us that it was shored up. But Maurice was very positive about rebuilding a relationship here, just like we have built with the Coast Guard. If you think about this organization, about how we are reaching out to people who impact the river, right? And this is something to you a lot. You know, with only Coast Guard, but with CSX because of all the freight. And there is a freight train that runs here and I think it was midnight, right, John, at midnight?
Yeah, but it's just a trash train.
Oh, that was right. It was just a trash train. You know, that runs here,
New
which
York City.
didn't really, expose a problem for us, but again, having knowledge of what's here is important and what's happening. So I found the meeting very informative and looking forward to it. more.
Yeah, it was a great start. We were told that when we asked for bridge inspection reports, we were told that we would have to go to the feds for that. So I've asked Maurice for a contact there. The other thing that we didn't discuss with Maurice that I've turned up since is an old letter back in the bomb train days. We were one of the Riverkeeper attorneys foiled for a bunch of New York State Department of DOT information and got a response that had bridge inspection reports and other stuff that Maurice indicated could only come from the feds. So with Rebecca's help, we'll reach out again and see what we can find with the New York State DOT in addition to the feds, in addition to CSX. So we're trying to just get our sources all lined up at this point.
But there are, as another caveat, there are restrictions. Restrictions is the information they can provide
Right.
going forward and how wide they can spread that information. So
Right.
we did make this a very small working group so that we could contain the information and properly manage it for them as well.
Yeah, they mentioned Maurice O'Connell mentioned that there's a train info app which is available according to how I understood it to municipalities or agencies, which allows people in possession of that app to determine what's on a specific train at any moment. That's an important thing to have. I've requested access to that and suggested that one of the municipalities in the Hudson 7 would be the point of entry for that information database, and that we would also provide it to the DEC if they don't have it, and we would provide it to the Coast Guard if they don't have it. So again, it's all very much the beginning stages, but it's all good because it's all new, and there's just opportunity ahead of us.
Nick, Roscoe, you guys, yeah, I think this is gonna be important as we work through the process. This is all closer to you. So,
I just want to also add that, it was a really good idea to include the Assembly member William Magnarelli on this second outreach. He was the chair of the Committee on Transportation. And he and his office were very helpful to us to make sure that our letter was received. And so we give thanks to the Assembly member's office for that support.
Thanks for mentioning that, Rebecca.
all right, I'm gonna back up now. Paul, the salt front.
Yeah, as everybody knows, about several years ago, we encouraged DEC to do a study, a model, develop a model of the Hudson River to determine how far the salt front is going to go up over the next 50 years. That would be the first step, and then we would have to come up with what are we going to do for the environment and what are we going to do from a drinking water standpoint. Last month, the Hudson 7 authorized me to form a review committee. I did that. The one change I had was I wanted an engineer from Hudson River, Black River Regulating District, and they're doing a lot of dam work, so they're not going to be able to participate. So I asked Dr. Russell Ford from Jacobs Engineering Group to be one of the engineer representatives. And Russell's had experience at the Poughkeepsie plant, and also he's knows a lot about membranes and how to treat salt water. So I thought he would be a good one. The other people are all doctorates except myself and Dottie, but we have Dr. Stuart Finley, who's from the Carey Institute. We have Dr. Robert Chait from Rutgers University, who helped Randy in Poughkeepsie when we were having that the spill from the Central Hudson project. And then, of course, Shannon. So I got an email back today um, from DC approving our committee, and also they're going to meet with USGS, who's doing this model study for them on the 17th. And the review committee will probably meet with them in late May to review some of their scenarios on how the salt front will advance and how we can use the model. So that's it. Anybody have any questions?
Yeah, did you say that the guy from Rutgers was Bob Chant?
Yes.
Great. Yeah, he's a good man.
Great work, Paul. Amazing.
Thank you, thanks.
I have a quick question. This is Dan. Can someone let me in at the front door?
Oh, yes.
Thank you.
All right, Eric, how about an update on the training facility?
So, they said they're still working on the report, but he added into his email that it should be ready soon. Now, I'm a geologist, so I don't know what soon means. I deal in ice ages, but it did say soon, so maybe next month.
Well, it's time, so it was a long time.
Yeah. Hopefully next month.
Okay. Rebecca, we're going to talk about the Hudson algae bloom.
Well, this was a recent communication from the state that the DEC has announced the release of a harmful algal bloom roadmap to guide HABs research, management, planning, and outreach efforts for DEC, the public, and other key stakeholders. And I presume that at least in part it's inspired by what happened last year. And so I reached out to the DEC, the folks who submitted these materials, to see if they could present to us in May. So hopefully we'll hear back and you'll get more information about these materials. In the meantime, there are links to them here in the agenda for you and the public.
And Hudson River, moving on, Hudson River PCBs.
There was an update from the Department of Health on fish advisories for the lower Hudson River, and I think that the CAG met perhaps to discuss that in part. Though I checked with our reps and they hadn't, at least one received a notice. So I'm not quite sure how the CAG handled this news, but maybe I think Dan has a little information on that. Maybe others.
I mean, I could say very briefly, the health department for the state has done two things. One is to adjust the understanding of the risk from PCBs from eating fish, and that assessment has found that eating less is riskier. So they've lowered the threshold of allowable amount in the fish. At the same time, the recent data from the river from about this stretch south has shown that the fish of several species, and I'm sorry, I can't tell you which ones off the top of my head, but striped bass is sort of the headline one, are below that threshold. So they are more edible to more people safely. So more protective fish standards, and the levels decreased in a portion of the river. It's also important to just note, though, that the EPA has set a target for reducing the levels in fish to the point where we could all eat them. And we're still nowhere near that. And so the river keeper's position and other advocates in the region is that we still need to see additional effort to reduce the source of PCBs, or else we're not going to reach that threshold, that goal for decades. So it's interim good news, but not the whole, goal.
Great, that's helpful. Continue.
All right. It's been a long time, so still gonna be good.
So Mike Forging is on the line and he had sent a really good update to me to read, but since he's here, Mike, would you like to just ask your question to the council?
Sure. So as of right now, state reviewers have not provided us with the update we're waiting for. However, we recognize you are sort of ready to get going with your implementation efforts. And if there are any specific plan-related details that are holding up your source water efforts right now, anything we can clarify for you, we can take those specific questions to the reviewers and try to get clarification for you sooner. So I'm not exactly sure if this is helpful for you, but if there are any points or information that you really need clarification on right now, or some assurance that it'll be approved by the state right now, we're happy to go to the reviewers and talk to them.
Wouldn't that be the watershed map?
I'm sorry, oh, you mean the map? Make sure the map is approved, you mean?
Yeah.
Without saying anything definitive, well, I can go and confirm. I can talk with them about that. I don't want to give any opinions because it's not my place, but I can talk with them and confirm that for you.
Great.
And Mike, I think, what's holding me up is this whole B2 is our plan going forward. It's our document to start exercising and committing to, and we keep going month to month to month, hoping that the next month we're gonna get, some output from you all on the approval of this or additional follow-up. And I'm not sure is it just people, or is it the scope of this project is so large that we're still trying to get to the answer?
So the holdup in this review is not. I'm just being careful with what I say because, again, this isn't really necessarily my place to give too many details, but it's certainly mostly derived from staffing issues, and I just kind of need to leave it at that. There are, when you say people, I would go more in that direction. Not that anyone did anything wrong, but there have been a lot of things shifting around, and and quite honestly, there are a ton of plans under review right now, and it's sort of a process they have been working out, and they are successfully working out, and your plan is on its way. I fully understand your frustration, but again, I just want to offer, if there's any specific things holding you up, I would like to talk with them about it if needed. But again, we apologize. It is coming.
Mike, do you have any projections or estimates on when this would finally be finalized?
Right now, I recognize DEC has given some deadlines that we have missed, and I just want to be careful not to give another specific deadline, but it is being actively reviewed, and we will give you an update as soon as we can.
I would volunteer, I forget who was on the committee, but if we want to, I feel like it would be good to reread the draft at this point anyway. It's not that fresh in my mind. I do think, just to remind everyone, I think the Hudson 7 was so far advanced relative to other communities starting the process that a lot of the plan, a substantial portion was saying, like, keep doing what you're doing, and like, you're gonna have our back. So I think Anna showing up is part of that, getting this grant is part of that. So I think I have some feeling like things are not held up in substance in some ways. But I do think maybe to answer Mike's question, we could just, quickly, maybe the committee members could review the objectives and the goals and just ask if there aren't any of those things that we need immediate clarity on.
Well, I think the question would come from them, that we need to give them more clarity.
Well, that would be good. It doesn't sound like that.
For instance, I know we flushed it out.
Yeah,
I would like to hear if there's questions coming from that side.
yeah, no, so.
I mean, there's other DDMS two plans that have been approved.
Yeah.
Right, so we were kind of like first in but last out, it seems.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right. Well, Mike, thank you. Any effort that you would do or any information you can provide that we can do to move this along would be greatly appreciated.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Mike. Water,
Water treatment plant committee?
yeah, the next water treatment plant committee meeting is on Monday, the 13th at 9 a.m. And we're just gonna follow up on some of the work we did last month, and we reported out on that in March. So more to come in May. One of those things will be working towards our annual water treatment plant operator celebration in May, at the end of May, which will also be our 8th year. Eighth year, Hudson 7's 8th year this year. Actually 9 years, because we started in 2017. So we will report more on that once we have that conversation. That's the update.
Rebecca, are you going to send out a link for that?
The water treatment plant committee?
Yes.
Yes. You want to come. So you're not technically on the committee, but it's open to anybody who wants to come.
Meeting you asked me to attend,
Great.
but I never received the link.
Great. Yes.
I don't think I received the link either, Rebecca. I'll check though.
Hold on. If you don't mind, I just want to quickly look and see. Yeah, you all are on there. Eric, you're on there. Paul, you're on there. Shannon.
Okay.
I did it last month. It should be on your calendar if you want to look. If you can't find it tomorrow, give me a quick holler.
There's agenda and Zoom to be determined, TBA.
Yeah, but that's all coming. But you've got the calendar invitation, right?
Right, but not the link.
You'll
for
have
the-
it.
So that's coming.
That's coming. Yep. But you're in there. So when it's put into the calendar invitation, you'll get notified and you'll have everything you need. All right.
Paul, Lori Sokas.
Yeah, New York City has been changing things. They decided, well, they were forced into not doing the hookup of the repair of the Delaware Aqueduct. So they decided that they were going to do some more work in the gatehouse at the Ashokan Reservoir. And so things have been changing. We had a major accomplishment that with the turbidity, that they're only going to take the turbidity from, they're only going to take water from the best basin and try to maintain the turbidity less than 20 NTUs, which is great. The next thing we're working on is for them to look at minimum flows. I did some research and found that the minimum flows that the Ashokan is discharging is significantly less than DEC's recommendations, what Connecticut is doing, and what other reservoirs in New York State and in the New York City system are. And what concerns us the most from the Hudson 7 is that if you don't have minimum flows, you get harmful algae blooms, which is what happened to us last summer. So this is kind of a critical issue, especially for the health of the lower Esopus. That's all I have.
If I could chime in, Gary, on this, a few other updates from the Lower Esopus Creek community group. We were very excited at the last meeting that the group finalized its articles of collaboration and adopted them. So that is now official for the group and a big step forward into kind of formalizing their work together. We're very excited about that. In addition, the Hudson River Foundation announced the first round of its grants stemming from the DEP settlement several years ago. Announced it at the beginning of April with a deadline for letters of interest at the end of this month. In addition to the HRF announcement, the county will be issuing a press release to further highlight this grant opportunity for municipalities along the lower Esopus Creek, as well as community groups that are working in that waterway. So two exciting developments.
Thank you, Andy. Keep planning. Yeah.
Yeah, so last meeting we established a strategic planning committee to look at the long-term plans for how this body and the new 501c3 will work together and work separately. We also look at, what the long-term plan is for which entity will employ the coordinator role and will the coordinator role stay a consultant or become staff? So we're just really kicking those conversations off. We as a committee met April 2nd and we talked about the 501c3 and gave some updates. Is this where that is, or are we going to talk about the 501c3 later?
No, this is where it is. Yeah.
So the 501c3, and Gary and I met end of March to have the first official meeting of the 501c3. We took that meeting and we reviewed and adopted bylaws for the group. It's all very, sort of boilerplate basic right now. And the idea is to sort of get a minimum, meet the minimum requirements for the bylaws, and then we will build out from there. So, adding additional board members right now, it's just Gary as president and as vice president and myself as secretary. And, the hope is that, like I said, to build out the group. The important thing is right now, just as a reminder, the purpose or the mission of the 501c3 is to fundraise and financially support this body. So the 501c3 is not really meant to implement actions on its own or, in any way compete with this body. This body is where the strength of the river protection comes from. That group is really just to be a supporting network for this council. So more to come there. I also attended the kickoff of the Hudson River Watershed Alliance's Watershed Group Capacity Building cohort. It's a mouthful. The Watershed Alliance is basically trying to assist groups like the Hudson 7 with figuring out how to build a resilient governance structure, looking at, do you have plans in place for leadership changes? Do you have plans in place for fundraising, for community engagement, all of these different things. So that group's going to be meeting, I think monthly, and there's homework that has to happen in between. So I'm attending those to the extent that I can. I'm inviting anyone else from the Hudson 7 who wants to join me in meeting those. They're hybrid. So you can either meet in Kingston at the Watershed Alliance's offices, or you can join remotely. So basically, this is going to be a standing agenda item for us moving forward. The Strategic Planning Committee will come back and report on the progress that we're making. Obviously, any decisions that need to happen will be coming before the full council for votes. I don't really know if I have too much more to report. Gary, did I miss anything?
Just maybe three comments. Number one, the general pension. If the nonprofits is set up as a funding organization, and we take direction from you. So I want to make sure that the flow is that way, not that way. And so it's very important that we establish a relationship going forward. Again, anybody here is welcome to be on the 501c committee and or board. So if you are interested, please let me know. And we will include you into our board meetings as part of as part of the board going forward. So far, we've set up quarterly meetings, and our next meeting will be at our June meeting prior to this meeting. So it makes it more convenient for people to, if they want to attend, we're gonna hold it just shortly before this meeting and wrap it all up so we're not taking up too much of your time. But last year, we were in the process of setting up a bank account, right? And there will be 2 signees for the bank account. We wanted to have a separate bank account from the individual council, so we set that up at the Right Bank. And both Ann and myself will be signers on whatever, how we do that. And I guess the last thing is we're gonna file our tax statement.
Yes. Exciting.
Right,
Yeah.
so, our first ever, we'll file it via a postcard or whatever.
Yep, a 990 postcard, and it's not due until May 15th, so I'm gonna wait till after the April 15th craziness is done and then file it after that.
But there are some prereqs to do that. We need to get into a charitable form, get that filled out, and there was one, can we do have to have registered?
So before we can really kick off, fundraising efforts, we need to register with the New York Charities Bureau. So Gary, you're going to give me some files from Ian's incorporation, and then I will handle getting us registered with the New York Charities Bureau. And that's really a separate initiative from the IRS filing, which Ann's got covered.
Do any time, yeah.
So she's got that covered. I'll handle the Charities Bureau, and we'll go from there.
Mind send me a report.
Sure.
Devin and Gary, we have all of our files that are, they're digital, so I can share the link where everything exists for the
Thank you. All right, I'll circle up with Rebecca.
Yeah.
Any questions on strategic planning or 501c3?
There's just one more thing to add, which is that you're all about to meet with Larissa Reed,
Oh, yeah.
On the Ground Consulting, who is just doing a little pro bono 1-hour strategic planning discussion with you. That's just a follow-up to the one sheet that she made for us last year, which is great. And that's going to happen in May.
And one of the things that we want to do as a committee before we have that meeting is we want to really kind of think about what questions we would have while we have a strategic planning consultant in the room with us for an hour. We want to make the most of that time. And so that's not limited to just who's on this committee. Anyone, if you have any thoughts about you'd like us to raise when we have that meeting about what long-term planning we should be thinking about as a council, please let Gary or I know.
And if you do want to contribute that way, we can share the one sheet with you so you can see what Larissa put together. That's what you're all working off of, right? To devise design your questions.
Yeah.
So I can share that around to whoever would like to see it.
And just a reminder, so it's myself, Gary, Andy's on the committee, I think Roscoe. Ann, are you on it as well? I don't remember, but if anybody would like to join, you're kind of like in and out. So, and Rebecca, so anyone who at any time, if you'd like to join or be a part of that committee, you can hop in at any time. I think that's one where the more the better.
Yeah, I'd definitely like to try to attend the planning, the consultant session.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Great.
There's a doodle. Dan, did you get the doodle? You just have to choose a date.
Sure, I did. I'll check.
Okay.
Thanks, Rebecca.
Yeah.
And that's all.
So the last thing, the watershed group capacity. I don't know what that. I think
that been covered.
Was that me?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I did that. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. We're gonna move on. One of the things we started talking about was amending our bylaws. And the purpose of amending our bylaws isn't to change what we do. It's just to strengthen what we already have in place. This organization, the strength of this organization is built on you. The membership of this committee, the elected officials, the technical advisors, the consultants that we have, all are what makes this group for the last 8+ years now significantly important to a lot of people who get their drinking water from Hudson. Having to give you water, Jonathan, right? It's just water authority. Yeah, it's just an important aspect of how we're building out and making that just such a pivotal organization. So what we're talking about is just these minor adjustments, because when it talks about strength of people, we've already made some adjustments internally in terms of how we have people. You know, during the transition period, Nick was vital, you know, for Roscoe, I think, as a transition period, and Nick being a water plant operator, right? We're incorporating that into our thinking about how water plant operators play a role. How a staff member, I'll use Devin as an example, representing the Dutchess County, you know, can be appointed to be on this committee. Okay, so we're really building the organization where it has strength and has the technical vitality to move forward. With a lot of that. To tie into that, we're gonna have to also clean up things. We run into an experience where we were all keeping data files. So there was an occasion where we potentially lost files. So we're putting in plans in place to say, how do we recover those files if we so do lose them files going forward and build that up. We're also bringing into a membership, you know, to make sure that, you know, we can move effectively forward. But we're very much dependent as a city council council to have the money to be able to move forward, and we're dependent on all of us to make that happen. So unless we determine otherwise as a council, right, for instance, I'll pick on Devin again, you know, Dutchess County, you know, partially funded, but we're waiting on the grant to get fully funded. But as a whole, we need that money when we get the MOA out. We need the municipalities to sign the MOA, get that back to us, and then give us the follow-on payment so that we can make our payments, you know, to our project coordinator. So we're putting in timing relation to that so that we can effectively move forward. But it gives us latitude. It gives us latitude for the council to say, hey, listen, we have an extenuating circumstance, and we as a council will approve that extenuating circumstance so that we could all move forward. Doing that. For, like I mentioned, water plant operators, and technical advisors can be appointed as a primary and alternative representative, or an agency can appoint somebody, see outside of the municipal government, to be able to work with us as before. I think there's opportunity for that to happen. So we're tweaking. It's not a rewrite. It's an amendment to just make it, you know, more palatable for all of us to do. We added the treasurer. We added a quorum. We're making a motion to introduce and direct amendments to the Hudson River Drinking Water Council. So we've put all of this into your packet to read. One second. No. Yeah, and so that we can move forward, hopefully move forward on that next month. Just the next part.
But it's not.
Question. Becky, you had your hand up?
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify two things. One of the reasons why the bylaws were being addressed, amended, was because we're enforcing the MOA and we're clarifying. I'm sorry, I'm hearing some.
Other problems.
I hear Roscoe very clearly. That microphone is picking him up. Sorry. We're trying to clarify membership. We're trying to clarify quorum, things like that, but the MOA really kind of sparked that off. But I also just want to say, Gary, we haven't lost files. That's not what happened. I just want that to be clear because I'm responsible for the files. So that's not what happened. Just to want to be clear, there were files that were deleted.
Yeah.
It needs to be put on the record.
Okay. So
For our
please,
protection. Mm-hmm.
so read these, we go over them, next month we'll talk about them again, and we'll bring up for vote for the school council. Any questions about?
So I know we have to wait 30 days to actually make the motion to adopt. Do we have to make a motion tonight to introduce them? Or Do we not? No, I just was a question or no? Okay.
We're putting them out for discussion.
Well, Gary, the discussion is now because if you make a motion to approve the bylaws as written, there's a 30-day window for them to mature before we can vote. If there's any need to review them before making that motion, then that's what the council should do tonight. If if the council wants to take more time with them.
Right, to put them up for vote for that.
If I may ask, Chairman, if every voting member of the council has had a chance to review the amended bylaws proposal at this point, I would just like to know that before we consider a motion to vote on them in May.
I read them. I mean, I've read them, helped change them.
I think we're getting a collective, yes, we will, and or have.
Great.
So just logistically, if we make the motion tonight to introduce these changes, 30 days, at that point, come May, if a member does go back and revisit and has a change or a request for a change, can that happen, or would that reopen the whole 30 days again? Do we know? Because to Andy's point, if anyone needs more time to review these, do we give them that time now, or can we have them can we still make changes over the course of the 30 days? I don't know how that works.
No, you can't technically. The bylaws state that when you're ready to make a motion to amend the bylaws, you do that and you have 30 days to let them sit before you can vote. So say tonight everybody is in agreement, you make a motion to move the bylaws through tonight, and then they mature for 30 days and you vote for the approval in May.
Okay.
Otherwise, if more time is needed
Okay.
for review, that's what you would do tonight.
Yeah, and that's why I asked, and there's no sense making a motion if a voting member of the group has not actually yet read them. So I just wanted to verify that so we don't end up with a motion and a vote that becomes a moot point.
Thanks, Andy.
So we're getting our approval here. Nobody's saying they have. Oh, so I'll make a motion.
Sure. Make a motion to introduce proposed amendments to the Hudson River Drinking Water Intermunicipal Council bylaws. So this will be seen as a formal notice, and we'll kick off a 30-day notice period. And come May 13th, we will make the vote. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained? You. Okay, thank you all. The next is any emergency. And you want to we had a short meeting about that?
Yeah, we had a short meeting about that, so, we all know the last month on March 2nd, there was a plane crash that came to, is this something that people are familiar with? It was basically just like a small passenger airplane with two people that was flying from Long Island, and they were gonna land at Stewart International. And, it was late at night, there was still ice on the river, and then the plane crashed down south, closer to Newburgh, like on that side of the river. And, yeah, I had a meeting with Devin and Rebecca the next day, or pretty recently after that meeting. I was like, oh, so you guys found out about that thing. How did you find out about that plane crash? And basically there was no formal or official communication from any of the emergency responders to the Hudson 7 folks. And then I just wanted to use the position that I have, because I'm based out of the Region 3 office in New Paltz. So I'm really close to the spills response team and all the people. So I walked over to them and I was just asking them about what are their protocols for accidents like that on the river. And I just facilitated a quick meeting with the regional engineer, Dave Pollack, who's in charge of the spills response team, to get some questions and answers about that, because who knows, what if there was a plane crash closer, and what would the chain of command be for getting people notified? And I mean, Rebecca sent a really great follow-up email after the call, because essentially like Dave's position was that there was no spill. It was kind of like a happenstance that an environmental conservation officer came to the scene. Typically that's handled with more local emergency response and police and fire. But someone did call an ECO from our office to go check it out. But there was essentially they like took the plane out of the water the next day. There was no reported spill. There was no sheen. And because there was no spill, no one was notified. But the follow-up from that meeting, I think, is really useful and helpful because they don't have like a map of the intake locations, like handy, like none of the regional like spills response people. And something that I really want to help with is to facilitate a meeting with each of the spills people for Ulster and Dutchess County to make sure that they have the map from the DWSP2 plan and they have a good sense of where the extended source water area is for if there is a spill. And I really do want to help with like your priority. It's priority number one is like coordinated spill response. So I definitely want to help with making sure that we can like proactively respond to spills and making sure that, I mean, like, would it be too much to ask, even if there is no spill, to have like some level of phone call to just be like, hey, like, just wanted to let you know that this happened and it's all good.
It landed on your intake, but it's okay.
Yeah. But like, we didn't see a sheen, so we got it the next, and they like pulled the plane out the next day.
And to that point, so we basically learned that a plane crash like that is treated almost like a boat crash, like a boat incident. There was no actual spillage, so I guess, according to them. But something that I was thinking about is when I first read the article that was put out. I don't remember if it was Mid Hudson News or who it was. It said very clearly that the plane is now going to sit at the bottom of the river. And that's what bothered me. And I think that's what I reached out to Rebecca initially about and said, and I think about the messaging and the communication to the public that we have with these events, to someone who understands that they get their drinking water from the river. If they hear that a plane crashes and it's now sitting at the bottom of the river, what does that do to them? They might not realize, oh, well, it's not actually a spill, it's not a threat to drinking water. And so I do feel that there should be some kind of communication to the Hudson 7, even if it's not a spill. If it's an incident like that that's going to make a headline, it'd be good for us to know because we might be able to help with messaging. Or maybe if we get phone calls or our communities get phone calls about it, we at least have a knowledgeable response that we can have. So I will say I really appreciated that meeting because it put some of my concerns at ease. But overall, I'm still kind of not satisfied with how it was handled in the moment, just personally.
Right, so it leaves us a little flat-footed.
Exactly, yeah.
John, are there boats on the bottom of the river?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The only place boats aren't is in the sky. So a couple things. First of all, I applaud you for coming tonight. It's really great to have this initiative. A couple of things. I think you're absolutely right that there ought to be a protocol that anything lost into the water and this goes back to the DWSP2, the map that Rebecca requested. The map should be the guidance for the DEC. Anything that happens within that area on the tributaries or the main stem should be reported to the Hudson 7. That's your call is the right one. A couple of things that are interesting. I'm working down here. It has nothing to do with the Hudson 7, but I'm working down here with the Piermont fire rescue people because they went out for a truck capsize on the Tappan Zee Bridge where a whole bunch of fuel went into the Hudson, and they went out and deployed a boom. And they got a call from the New York State, from the DC, saying, can you guys go get the boom after the whole event was over? And Piermont Fire said, well, why do we have to do that? Well, the thruway has no vessels, and then we, the DEC, can't deploy a boat down there. So there's an example that goes beyond an airplane, and I'm working on it with the guys down here, and we want to make it constructive, not a criticism, but a constructive comment to the DEC that the thruway at the Tappan Zee Bridge, for example, has a crane, has a boat on davits, has a travel lift, and they ought to be able to go and if the emergency guys deploy the boom, that's fine because they're experienced and they can roll out quickly. But the retrieval of the boom, that should be the job of the thruway. So I give that just an example because there are plenty of bridges and crossings and so forth in the reach that we're calling the watershed of the Hudson 7. The other thing, and your point was very good. Why can't they just notify, just default, even if there's not a spill? And as an example, we have this new relationship with the Coast Guard. And a couple months ago, I get a call, on like a Saturday night from the Coast Guard saying there's been a spill at the Roaston power plant down in Newburgh. The spill is on land. There's nothing reaching the water, but we wanted the Hudson 7 to be aware in case they hear about it. So that's exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And what it does for the Hudson 7, what it does for us is it says that we have an active partner. And when we're not hearing something, it's because nothing's happening. That's what we want. That's what we want. We want to have that confidence that we're going to hear about it, and then we can relax when we're hearing nothing. So I appreciate you coming very much. It's a great initiative.
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, like it should really be proactive because yeah, as it needs to be. So
that's very good.
Yeah, I just want to second that, Anna. You heard from Devin and I about the questions about not wanting to learn about that from the paper, and you just turned around and set that right up. It was so responsive, and we appreciate it.
Any other business to add to?
All I can say is that this is why we need the DWSP2. A lot of this stuff is addressed in there, and we need it to be implemented as soon as possible.
Right, and it delineates the watershed, which, depending on where that ends up, might change a lot of what we know or knew before. So that'll be important to have.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn at 6:15. A second?
Second.
Not gonna ask, okay, but have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Good night.